thanks for doing this for us. It's wonderful to have you.
It's a pleasure. Very good evening to everyone, and congratulations to all the winners. Well done. These are challenging times for good journalism, so congratulations.
So we'll get into why do you say it's a challenging time for good journalism in the future, through the course of the conversation. But since we are in a room full of the best journalists in India, we have to take full disclosure very seriously. The concept of full disclosure very seriously. So in full disclosure, I must admit that, Amir, I've been a fan of yours for a very long time. I've been a fan for the last 15 years. We look at that photograph there that we dug out from the archives. That's when you were thinner, I was bigger. But Amir, I was a fan of yours then, I think because of Jochita Wohi Sikandar, because of Andaz Apna Apna. But I think today, the reason we are fans of yours is because you're unconventional. Your success has been very different from any sort of formula. You've always stayed away from a certain formula. And you've never been afraid to take a stance, which others in your position normally don't. So all these stances you take, is it impulsive? Is it thought through? Something about why you keep taking a stance?
Well, partly it's impulsive, partly it's emotional. It's an emotional reaction. And then I try and think it through also. But then finally, sometimes you feel the need to speak, so you do. Yeah, I guess.
Out of all the stances that you've taken, sometimes some are political, some aren't. Is there any one that you would regret?
No, I don't think so. No, no, I don't think so. I mean, I've faced a lot of flack many times, but no, I don't think I regret any of the stances I took.
Did you ever consider the commercial ramifications of you, sort of?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. To be quite honest, I didn't. But I've been doing okay commercially also.
I find, I mean, your career sounds a lot like the story Arunji was talking about with regards to Express, 85 years of Express. I find a lot of similarities with that. If we can just, I don't know how long we have Arunji with us for, so I can just ask him to make one quick comment. Can we get a mic in front? Arunji, one sort of piece of a comment to Amir, maybe, the role of the celebrity in society. Do you find, are you happy with what celebrities normally do? How active they are in sort of in the public discourse, or would you like them to play it as safe as they have been, or would you rather have a celebrity like Amir Khan who sort of likes to have his voice heard?
No, I'm quite okay with prominent people and achievers taking positions on issues. You see, there'll be a large number of them who are completely focused on their work, and therefore for them to develop a thought process outside their usual activity may not be possible. Everybody is not alike. But there are some people who are actively involved and at least involved in the thinking process themselves and would like to react. And therefore today, in a world where the forums for an individual to react are too many, he doesn't need a television channel, he doesn't need a newspaper, he can do it he can just in one line or a few words express himself. And I think if it's a seriously thought out view, as against just a maverick view, I think it does good to any society.
Amir, do you find that social media also is encouraging you to take a point of view? I'm sure you get sort of haggled to say, is par kuch batao, take a stance more than you would like to.
No, I don't think social media has at all affected or propelled me to make public statements. I think social media is just one more platform. If you feel like saying something on it, you can use it. So the desire to say something, I think, often makes me say what I want to, and not the platform, really. Yeah.
But off late, Amir, last 5, 6 months, artists have, after a very long time, been getting up and taking a stance, especially in the last couple of months. Um, your thoughts about the stance some of your contemporaries have taken, and even other artists, not just actors?
Well, I think that, for creative people to voice what they feel is important. And I think that, a number of creative people, historians, scientists have increasingly had a certain feeling in them which they felt the need to express. And I think that for a creative person, one of the ways of expressing their dissatisfaction or their disappointment is to return, awards. And I think that's one way of, getting your point across, certainly.
So you're endorsing you're endorsing the way there was a protest.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I would endorse any protest which is non-violent. As long as you don't start beating up people and as long as you don't resort to violence, then, all individuals have a right to protest, and they can protest in any manner that they feel is right, as long as they're not physically harming anybody or taking law into their own hands. And this is certainly a way to protest. For creative people, it is certainly a way to protest.
But are you, Amir? But are you agreeing with the protest? Do you think it's called for, or is it premature?
Well, I mean, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, there are so many people here in this room who are much more knowledgeable than me, so I feel a little intimidated actually speaking in front of all of you. But my understanding is that a lot of the creative fraternity was protesting because of the growing discomfort that they felt, or the growing atmosphere of intolerance that they felt around them, a growing sense of insecurity and disappointment with that. And as a result, that was their way of showing that they are not happy with the situation. As an individual myself, as a part of this country, as a citizen, we read in the papers what's happening, we see on news what's happening, and certainly I've also been alarmed. I can't deny that I have been alarmed by a number of incidents. And, it's for any society, it's very important to have a sense of security. I mean, there will be acts of violence anywhere in the world, and they would be there for different reasons. But for us as a society, as Indians, to feel a sense of security, 2-3 things are very important, I personally feel. One is a sense of justice. So if there is a wrong step that anyone takes, then correct justice is given out for or against that person. That gives a lot of sense of security to the common man. The common man feels कि अगर कोई गलत करेगा तो उसको justice will take its due course. That is one. The second thing that gives a sense of security, and that's a very important sense for all of us to have, is that the people who are our elected representatives, people who we select to look after us for 5 years, whether that's on the state level or whether it's at the level of the center. When people take law into their own hands, when there's a sense of insecurity, we look upon these people to take a strong stance, make strong statements, and speed up the legal process to prosecute such cases. When we see that happening, there is a sense of security. When we don't see that happening, there's a sense of insecurity. So it doesn't matter who the ruling party is. It's happened across ages, it's happened in different decades, it's happened at different times. So it doesn't matter who is in power. But the fact of the matter is, and I often, on television debates we see where one political party, in this case it's the BJP who's ruling right now, is accused of various things, and they say, but what happened in 1984? But that doesn't make right what's happening now. And what happened in 84 was disastrous. What happened in 1984 was horrendous. And what is happening, at other times also through the ages, whenever there is a violent act, when an innocent person is killed, whether it's even one single person or a collection of people, that's very unfortunate. And in these unfortunate moments, these are the moments that we look to our leaders to take a strong step, whether they're on the state level or at the center, make statements which are reassuring to us as citizens of the country. That's what we look for, yeah.
But sort of thinking about...
So in that sense, to actually complete my answer, I think I went off a long way. To complete your answer, do I agree with that? I also feel that there is a sense of insecurity, there is a sense of fear, there is a sense of...
More than there was
earlier?
earlier?
Yeah, I think in the last maybe 6 months, 8 months, there has been a growing sense of despondency, I would say. I mean, when I sit at home and talk to Kiran, you know, Kiran and I have lived all our lives in India. For the first time, Kiran says, should we move out of India? Now, that's a disastrous and very big statement for Kiran to make to me. She fears for her child, she fears for, you know, what the atmosphere around us will be. She feels scared to open the newspapers every day. That does indicate that there is a sense of growing disquiet. It's a sense of growing despondency. Apart from alarm, there's one part of it is alarm. There's another part you feel depressed. You know, you feel low. You feel, you know, why is this happening? So that sense does exist in me, to be quite honest. Yeah.
You know, the reason I sort of hope and pray for a growing audience of people who are willing to listen to the more intelligent content, the more intelligent, the more nuanced argument, is because, Amir, we're living in an age of terrorism.
In an age of?
Of terrorism.
Terrorism, yeah.
And almost always, an act of terrorism anywhere in the world gets linked to Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding that requires nuance.
Mm-hmm.
How would you?
Well, for me, acts of terror are, you know, not connected to any religion. So whether it's a person who feels he's a Muslim and is doing an act of terror, I don't think he's following Islam. Or for that matter, somebody who's a Hindu who's doing something which is, which is very violent and an act of terror is not following Hinduism. I don't think that any religion teaches killing of innocents. So when you see an act which is an act of terror, of violence, instead of calling that person a Christian terrorist or a Hindu terrorist or an Islamic terrorist, you should just call the person a terrorist and remove the religion tag from it, because he's actually not, he or she is not really doing what the religion is supporting or what the religion is saying. So I think that's the first mistake we make is when we label them Islamic terrorists or Hindu terrorists or what have you. So that religion should be removed from that tag. It should just be terrorist who doesn't have a religion, because Islam certainly doesn't condone or even allow killing of innocents in any way.
Yeah. And Amir, you're echoing exactly what the Prime Minister said yesterday. Exactly this. In fact, the word, we should remove religion from conversations of terrorism. But the fact is that perception is that when you talk about terrorism, the concept of Islam or sort of Muslim extremism does come in.
Mm-hmm.
It has come in Paris as recent as that. Do you think the vast majority of the moderate Muslim, especially in the Indian context, do you think they should be speaking out a little bit more?
Yeah, I feel a vast majority of the moderate Muslims, which is in fact a vast majority of the Muslims, are most concerned about what is happening. They feel upset about what is happening. They feel uncomfortable with what's happening. And if I'm not mistaken, a number of Muslim organizations have begun to speak openly against the ISIS and similar terror organizations. They've begun to, at least in India, I know that they have. Yeah.
Amir, you as a superstar, or your sort of colleagues, do you think it's time that we get people like you also to have a little bit more strong voice when it comes to representing the moderate Muslim?
Yeah. Well, I feel when you say, should I be representing the modern Muslim, I feel very uncomfortable, because I feel, first of all, why should I be representing anyone? Yeah. Secondly, if I have to represent anyone, why should I not represent everyone? Why should I have to represent Muslims? So in the capacity of myself as an individual, if I'm representing my country or my society, then I stand for everyone, not just for any one section of society. My birth may be in a Muslim household, but if I speak, it's for everyone. So I think that on a number of occasions, celebrities have spoken up against acts of terror. So I don't think that's not been done by us. That has been done by us, yeah.
You're softening the blow. I asked him to ask you a question which is politically incorrect, and in such a happy atmosphere, I feel guilty asking it. But there's no point in pretending that what happened in Paris has nothing to do with Islam. It does. The people who did the killings had a Quran in their hand. Huh? They've done it in the name of Allah. Now, you know, we live in a country with the second largest Muslim population on the planet. We have our own kind of Islam, which produced Ghalib and Mir, and, you know, you'd be shot dead in ISIS, you know, if you were living in the Islamic State. So I'm just curious to know whether you think about these things. You know, you were very eloquent about how intolerance has grown in India, which I don't agree with. I think we're as intolerant as we ever were, or as tolerant. But, you know, do you think about what we might face if Wahhabi Islam obliterates poets like, you know, I mean, where would Ghalib be able to say, Khuda ke vaste parda naqabe se hata? Sorry, I have a very bad throat.
Yeah.
So do you think about these things? Would you
I
like
do.
to talk about it?
No, I do think about these things. First of all, I want to disagree with you. I don't feel they were Islamic acts. A person who's holding a Quran and killing people, he may feel he's doing an Islamic act, but as a Muslim, I don't feel he's doing an Islamic act. So I want to disagree with you on that. I'm very clear that a person who's killing innocents is someone who's not is not a Muslim. As far as I'm concerned, he's not a Muslim. He may claim to be a Muslim, but we should not recognize him as that. He's a terrorist, and we should recognize him as a terrorist, is what I feel. My problem is not just with the ISIS. It's with that kind of thinking. So my fear, when you say that, you know, do you think about it? Are you afraid of such things happening? Of course I am. And that fear is there with that kind of thinking. Today it could be ISIS, tomorrow it could be some other organization. This extreme thinking is what I worry about. Because I feel that this extreme thinking, no matter where it comes from, is very, very destructive and very, very negative. So I have a problem with that kind of thinking. So certainly I have a problem with ISIS. And I'm saying that this extreme kind of thinking, which may belong to any section of any religion, is what I have a problem with. So certainly I do have a problem with that. Yeah.
I think that's all we have time for. Thanks so much, Amir,
Thank
for being
you.
here and making
Thank
this
you.
event so special for us.